Well, so we were talking earlier, and we were saying that there's new ad rules. Wait,
Yeah.
is that on Twitch?
Yeah, there's some new ad rules on Twitch that they're trying to roll out, where it specifically had to do with, like, baked in ads, was the most recent thing that they have tried to launch, and the idea is that basically by a baked in ad, it refers to an advertisement that gets placed within the broadcast, right? Like, it's literally on the screen. It's not a part of Twitch's website, but what ends up happening is when a streamer takes on an activation, a lot of the times, whatever the activation is, whether it's a product or a game, or there's a referral link or something like that, or a certain number of signups, they will ask for a portion of the broadcast to host an image or a carousel of images that advertise to the viewers. And this is essentially what they mean by baked in. And Twitch is trying to limit it to 3% total max of the broadcast size. And so this is impactful in a couple of ways. Uh, Obviously, this is something that brands are not going to be super happy about, and it could negatively impact streamer income and their general freedom when it comes to hosting some sort of activation for themselves and their income. It's way harder if obviously they're handcuffed by a rule like this. The other side of this is the reason Twitch wants to do this isn't necessarily just to like poke streamers with a stick, but it's to roll out their new features, which are these integrated ads into basically that are going to pop up as like banners or vertical banners in between the broadcast and the chat itself. And basically, they want to be able to continue to experiment with different ad versions in a way that allows them to better sell ad space because this is really the thing that Twitch struggles with the most and is the main reason why they're not profitable is because they don't do a good job at selling ad space very well. Uh,
So right off the rip,
yeah,
the 3% ads or the
yeah.
3% of the total time of your stream can be ads.
No,
So
no,
that's
no,
an
no, no. It's
ad.
not a time based. It's a space base of the canvas.
Okay, so that was going to be my next question. It's
Yeah.
not a full screen. Like when I'm playing a game, all of a sudden it'll just full screen ad because I
It
know
does
that they do
happen
that
right now
already.
for Twitch.
Yeah.
Right. What they
So
are disallowing is streamers to basically cut their own deals and then put an image larger than 3% into the canvas.
wait,
So, like,
they're
let's say,
not
for
allowing you to
example,
do. Go
yeah,
ahead.
I mean, it's like, and like, that's your broadcast. But let's say, for example, I did something with Adidas, right?
Yes.
And we have like an unboxing live on stream, and I have like full screen me here chilling in the studio. I'm opening boxes. I'm showing off the shoes to stream. That's fine. But if I have an Adidas logo added to my stream as just a JPEG in the corner and it's larger than 3%, that is not allowed.
Okay, so this kind of reminds me of the UFC deal back in the
Which
day,
one?
which the Reebok deal back in the day.
Okay.
All the fighters had all their sponsors on their shorts.
Right.
And then UFC comes along, signs the whole deal with Reebok, and no more
Yeah.
sponsors on the shorts. So
Right.
they're basically telling you, I mean, you can still get your own sponsors, but they're handcuffing you in ways that you're going to advertise that sponsor.
Right. On your own content. It is absolutely wild. But again, they think this opens up the floor for them to continue to uh, test different ad spaces and ad formats without it being overwhelming. They figure that if they really reduce the amount that streamers can like place ads, that they will be somehow in better favor with the viewership when they put in their own ad space. That is obviously going to encroach upon the content and the overall UI UX for the viewer.
Can you opt out of whatever that thing is going on right now?
Oh, absolutely not. No, this nothing is not only is it like not opt outable, like streamers aren't consulted in advance of changes like this if it's going to affect the bottom line. This is like these things come down the pipe not from people who understand the streaming space, but from a business transplant into from Amazon directly into Twitch that is only looking at the bottom line and how to make the website more profitable, which is unfortunate because it to navigate these waters successfully and to continue to understand the nuance of streaming and to enable broadcasters to make the platform successful for you, you have to have like a base level of understanding, and a lot of these people don't. And yeah, I mean, I think it's something immediately that had a loud outcry against it. Obviously, it's not a good look for them when all the streamers are up in arms. And I don't foresee it being enforced in any way, shape, or form, to be 100% with you. I don't think it'll ever be enforced. I also think this because like there's so many esports teams. Like what I think of when I think or like what I picture in my mind when I think of on-screen logo ads is esports signed individuals who have a carousel. The deals were not made with the individual themselves, but let's say um, someone like my buddy Vis, he signed with TSM. TSM has a corral of sponsors, right, that they work with. And therefore, on all of the TSM streams, there's a carousel of those sponsors that are on stream and get, rotated,
Yeah.
basically. Um, Obviously this would negatively impact all of these esports signed individuals, right? And it's really important more now than ever because they recognize that, obviously esports success is very fleeting because you're not always going to have the best players. So they're really investing lately into personalities and like non-competitive streamers, but are still signed under the banner, right? And it's going to be these people, like in particular, who this is going to be an issue for. Like their reach is huge, and now if that's just like a tiny, tiny, tiny thing on the screen, they're not getting bang for their buck there. So it's bad for the relationships that these esports teams are trying to host between the product that they're pushing and also between them and Twitch. So yeah, it
So
causes a lot of friction.
I've watched some of those guys' streams, and I always see a little like a little ad placement in their box or something
Yeah.
like that, and it's rotating. And I wouldn't say that's bigger than 3%, but on things like
It's
say,
wild when you actually look at it. Maybe Abe can pull up the Zach Busey tweet, where he has, like, the little white box,
okay,
or it's, like, the white background, and there's a little black box in it that shows you the 3%.
okay.
Like,
Oh,
it's a
I would
little guy.
love to see that.
It's a little
Um,
guy.
all right. So while he's doing that, what about what transition screens? Because all those esports and the big ones, they have transition screens. And okay, so all right, so that's that's kind of big. That's not it. You're not gonna get a full screen ad, but like if that's something just rotating above your cam box, that ain't bad, right?
As a max size that Twitch is enforcing, you don't have a problem with that?
I'm gonna defer to you on that. How many times let me ask you that. So, how many times do you put actually, I already know this answer. You have full screen ads and that are really good ads because they're like culture videos that we make,
Yeah, we
but
we have joking full screen advertisements that we call them pee break videos when I go pee because which is often because I consume a lot of liquid and also caffeine. I like to stay hydrated. I like to stay, tuned up. Um, that results in a lot of pee breaks. And so, it's important, as a broadcaster to maintain the audience during that quick pee break. So we host like a yearly event with the community, which is a lot of fun, and they all submit, their own meme advertisements or pee break videos, whatever you want to call them, and they do it in different ways. And we give prizes to the individuals that submit, and it's a lot of fun. Uh, that being said, I don't think this new Twitch rule applies to the fake advertisements.
no.
We sell things like Raven tape, which can be used to basically prevent yourself from going to the restroom while gaming.
Okay.
Yeah, it's like think like a Billy Mays Flex Seal type. advert, but obviously a meme, right? So uh,
You
I
might
think,
end up in a legal battle though with Twitch if if because a lot if you're saying those rules are coming from people who don't get the culture, who aren't in the space,
oh yeah,
they watch
there's
your
no
stream and
doubt.
they're like, "What the heck?"
Well, I'd welcome it if they wanna, you know, if they have a bone to pick with our P break videos. Hey man, I'm happy to get into it with them because I think that would be an awesome talking point for a lot of people.
Well,
Uh,
I
and
don't
I'd be
think
happy to break it down for him. But that being said, the irony of my disdain for this new rule is I have never consented to a baked in ad for any activation I've done. As someone who's done like, hundreds of activations over a very long Twitch career, anytime that there's an ask from a potential activation for a baked in ad, I say no. And that's because I'm really guarded with my real estate on stream. I want it to look really nice. I want the viewer to be engrossed in what I have going on and my content and the gameplay, and to take something that I don't have control over and to allow that to be a certain amount of the screen is just not something that I'm willing to bend on. A lot of the times I will, you know, present back to the activation like, hey, uh, or my management will, hey, Mark isn't interested in doing this. And sometimes they come back and they say, hey, no worries. We trust that you are going to do the rest of the things that we have outlined so well that it won't matter. Like, no big deal. You know your viewers best and how to treat the situation. I appreciate that. And then there's others that come back and say, well, we're not doing the deal. I say, hey, man, all good. Shake the hand, walk away. No big deal at all.
wait,
And
shake that.
I do
Wait.
appreciate that. Uh, it's not the end of the world. And it's just like I feel strongly about that, and it's something that I'm not willing to compromise on. So, yes, I understand the irony of me like resenting Twitch for limiting these things. It's just not something that it should be up to Twitch at the end of the day. And even though it doesn't directly impact me, I'm still going to fight for and be vocal for the streamers' rights in that regard. You know what I mean? Because I
I
feel
hear
like
you.
it's my job too.
I hear you. I don't like when they take freedoms away. That's for
Yeah,
sure.
I
And
hear you.
streams are meant to be entertaining. They're supposed to be the best of the best skill out there, gaming it up, being the best. But we've been seeing some other types of streams go around and some types of trends. And did you see any of that NPC streaming going on? And
Yeah, new phenomenon in the last couple of weeks. I have seen this. I've heard of this. As a right supple 29-year-old man who enjoys TikTok, I've seen some things. Yeah, I think it began originally on TikTok lives, and now like there have been quite a few Twitch streamers capitalizing on its virality.
yeah,
I think Abe has a little something for us over there.
what do you got?
I do.
Okay. So she's going, it's a video of a girl and she's going, "Oh, ride it like a cowboy, ride it like a cowboy." And she keeps repeating certain animations when people donate roses. They go, "Oh, thanks for the roses. Oh, thanks for the roses." When people give her a cowgirl hat, "Oh, ride like a cowgirl." Just keeps repeating the same thing over and over again, over and over again. And look at the chat.
Yeah,
The chat's bumping. Everything's going crazy. And more people are doing this.
you ever play like an RPG
Yes.
where you're trying to figure out the options of like different speech dialogue, and you're clicking through them and they just won't stop repeating the same thing, but they still have these like little breaks in their actions and words in a way that is just like incredibly robotic, and it's just like no matter what you do you're stuck in a loop. Ever see that?
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
that's exactly how I feel watching these. And you know I think I think it's interesting because there's an aspect of this where it's like control over the broadcaster in a way where it's like, dance monkey dance scenario, right?
Okay.
They just want to see you perform. and do what you're supposed to do in response to the stimulus. The other part of this is obviously there's a bunch of people who get off on like the shock value of you have to just like literally turn your brain off to be able to do this, right? And like be okay with like the general degrading nature of it. But then on top of that, there's a whole other group who are doing this because, you know, they are memeing the situation, right? And I saw a banger from the Tarkov category. That friendly guy put out one that was Tark related, right? So he took it and he manipulated it in a way that now reflected Tarkov culture. And it's like, oh, a GPU up the bum, you know? And it's like,
Jesus.
yeah, but I find like in that sense, I think it's like really clever and phenomenally well done because he's obviously making light of a ridiculous situation and it did incredibly well. Like this thing just absolutely exploded on socials as it should have because, you know, that's his circle and he changed it to his niche of content in a way that is both doing the trend but still poking fun at it. So I think these things are like okay to capitalize on done the right way.
So this is a tricky one for me because obviously I'm a free market guy. If you find a way to get a bunch of views, that doesn't hurt anyone. That's not all that stuff is already baked in. If you find a way to get the views, to get the money, that's great. But then there's this other half where it's mind numbing and the kids are now just going around doing this stuff like in school, just acting like NPCs. And it's like the influence that this type of stuff has is gigantic. And I never take that lightly, man. I have trouble looking at stuff like this because I know that kids that are coming up now are like, this, I'm doing this. This is fun. Ride like cowgirl. Ride like, and then you're like forgetting half of the English language as you're developing because all you're doing is, oh, thanks for the roses. Oh, I'm a queen. It's like, what? I don't take it lightly the amount of influence that certain people on the internet have, and I think that they need to use that position and that podium for good. So I struggle with stuff like this, dude. I hope this doesn't stay around for too long.
Yeah, I mean, first and foremost, we definitely said and did a bunch of stupid things as kids, right? That were equally meaningless and brain cell reducing, right? I
I
don't know, dude.
understand.
I, but then on top of that, yeah, I mean, you can't police people's content, right? If it's not, I don't know. It's hard to argue that it's like genuinely hurting someone, and it's. I genuinely think it's on the consumer to choose whether or not they want to flood themselves with that, and
I
who's
get
in
it.
control of that content reaching them, etc. So,
I get it. I
uh,
get it.
hard to say. Definitely goofy, but um, you know,
Oh
more
man.
power to you.
Well, they might just turn into AI NPCs altogether, dude.
You think
I think we're going that way. I think our
you can make
next
a face
thing.
too long and it sticks?
Wait,
Mom ever hit you with that? Making a
and
face?
yeah, and pork
Yeah.
roll. She's like, you eat too much pork roll, you're gonna turn into a pork roll. So,
Hey,
jeez,
you have to understand that that's incredibly regional. I've only learned about this through you and the people that I know from your area.
pork
You
roll.
explain what pork roll is for the
Okay,
people at
okay.
home?
Um, pork roll is maybe Abe. Abe can also bring a piece of pork roll up on the screen. Pork roll is obviously pork, and think of it as like a big tube, and it comes in. Abe, grab one that's like, yeah, okay, that's fine. So check this out. That you rip the plastic off of this big tube looking thing, and then it has like a mesh around it. And that's what's keeping it nice and fresh. But inside that mesh is what's called a pork roll. And what you do is you slice it thin or thick and you throw it on the grill, and it's a breakfast meat.
What
I
I'm
don't
looking at, there's no concept of fresh involved, I don't think.
uh,
There's nothing fresh looking
yeah, no,
about
it's
that.
fresh.
Okay.
Anyway, it's a breakfast meat, but I guess it's a Jersey thing.
You
So,
throw it on like a sausage, egg, and cheese?
oh, dude, throw it on that. You eat a whole
Pork
brick
roll, egg,
raw.
and
It's all
cheese,
good.
huh? All right. I
There's
Um,
also a big
I don't
debate
think you're
if it's
supposed to eat
Taylor
pork raw.
ham or pork roll.
wait, what was say that
There's
again?
also a big debate. Is it Taylor ham or is it pork roll?
Pork
Depending on the
roll
part of
is
Jersey, that matters.
Taylor ham is a brand. Pork roll is the meat.
Oh,
You'll be
interesting.
if
So
you
Taylor Ham is trying to take over like the jacuzzi spot of the breakfast meat industry in Jersey,
there's a lot of those,
where
and
they're
that
turning their specific thing into the general
when
name. I
you
like
can
that.
own a name, when you
Yeah.
can like Q-tip,
Oh yeah, it's another good one.
like that's the brand. There's also
Yep.
Q-tip. People make what cotton swab, whatever they're called.
Cotton
They're
swab,
not
yeah.
actually called Q-tips, but they own that word.
Crazy.
So maybe Taylor Ham is getting in that game. I don't know.
You got to respect the hustle.
Anyway, so we talked about the NPC thing going on, and that kind of leads us into AI, dude. Because one, AI is getting insane with the actual NPCs in games, but I think what I'd like to talk about is the strike going on for AI. And actually, Abe, if you can give us a little backstory on this strike, and then I can dive into that if you don't mind.
Yeah, sure. So it's the WGA, the Writers Guild of America. They're striking for a lot of other things, streaming platforms and things, and how that impacts revenue when it comes to the writers. But the big thing, or one of the big things I should say too, is essentially writers being replaced in the initial scripting process with something like a ChatGPT coming up with a majority of the script for them.
So yes, I know a couple writers, and
How do they feel?
they're not friends; they're more of acquaintances. So
Yeah, sure.
um, I, they want their cake and eat it too. It's not all of them. I'm sure there's a lot of good people out there, but the people that I've known about, they want their cake and they want to eat it too. When it comes to they're using the Chat GPT a bunch, but they don't want the positions above them to cut them out to use Chat GPT. For me, it's an all-in issue. You have to do one or the other. You have to live by it. If you're gonna fight it, then fight it. If you're not gonna fight it,
Yeah, it's interesting. I hadn't really thought about the people who are fighting against this AI writing probably also have at least tested the waters with it.
oh, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it would be naive to assume that they haven't, when it's your job.
Correct. But let's play this out in the situation that, like Abe was saying. So
Sure.
the higher ups are basically saying, give me a script. This is the type of movie I want. I want it to have this type of plot. I want these to be the main actors. And then they get the rough draft kind of written out. And then the writers come in after that. Is that kind of what you're seeing, Abe, when you looked into that?
Yeah, it's like, here's the baseline
Mhm.
of what we want. Now juice this up.
Okay.
And obviously that means smaller writing staffs, probably not as well paid because they're not doing quite as much. But they get the bare bones from ChatGPT, and then they beef that up into an actual script and plot.
Well, then let's build on that. So if it's so much easier and quicker to get that much further from the starting line, do you think more people are going to be doing it? Like more studios, more, instead of having 2 projects going at once, maybe they can have 6 projects going at once. It'll still be survival of the fittest at the end of that, but do you think
But
it's
you think there's
possible?
possibly more jobs as a result?
Maybe
Okay.
more frequency.
Yeah, right.
So yes, it's maybe not more jobs created, but maybe you'll be like shifting around set to set like more frequently. I don't know.
I know where I stand on this.
Okay, let
and
me
it's
hear
probably not very popular.
it. Go ahead.
I got a hot take on this one.
Okay.
I think you either do what you do well enough to not be replaced by a robot in something as what I find like near and dear is writing, which I think is innately human. You're either good enough to stand out as innately human, or you should be replaced. And
This
I think that obviously AI writing, it's nowhere near the point where it's not going to only create mediocrity. Like I'm not seeing anything other than like mediocre stuff come out of AI right now that I'm not personally impressed by in a literary sense or in a way that creates a script that just like blows me away. Until that happens, like I'm happy to change my tune. But I think that some like I don't know. I revere the written language and just like speech in general as like I revere it very highly. And I just think that like to make something like a script requires uh a touch of human nature to do it the right way and because ultimately that's your audience, right? And so a human is going to be able to speak to a human in a way that feels right. Does
well,
that make sense?
yes, it does. That's why. I mean, that's why I love music because
It's the same thing. Yes.
yes, there's an aspect
100%.
of a good song, and it takes you back. It taps into one of the most potent things there is, which is nostalgia. If you hear a good song and you start tearing up, dude, it's one of those songs. Now, I think AI will get there, but it's all dependent on what it's trained on. And then like how can you teach it certain lessons that you learn through like heartbreak or like the feeling of something. And then you take that and make it a metaphor. And those are good
Sure.
songs. Like I'm very interested to see if it'll ever get there, which
I mean,
think
I
it probably
think
will.
AI could easily write Stadium Country these days. Like, I'm sure it already does.
All right, hold on.
Be
hold on,
100%
hold on,
with
hold on.
you.
So I know most countries, let me get a beer and I'll get in my pickup truck. But
Don't forget the dog
there's
and then the relationship.
there's a lot. There's about 80% of all genres they have their stereotypes.
I think that there are a lot of
Keep it a bean.
stereotypes, and then I think that there's like Stadium Country, which has been very formulaic for like the last 10 years, I'd say, like in a way that literally just like you could throw 20 words into a blender and have it spit out a Stadium Country smoothie. You know what I mean?
We should see what song.
It's ridiculous.
We should
And
see country, write a rap song, and see what ChatGPT does with all of it.
that would be a
fire.
fun experiment.
Um,
I think, yeah, I just I'm tired of uninspired media. And there's so much uninspired media going out right now. And if that's if that's the bar that we are setting, then AI's got it in the bag and these writers are screwed.
Dude, I'm sure we're gonna have a full episode on this many times. However, what you just said, I love the way you said that. Uninspired media. That's like it's flooded right now everywhere. And
Yes.
the pendulum will swing the other way.
That's correct.
And I'm very, very excited and positioned for that moment.
I like that.
And then there's more on we'll get into why AI is or why ChatGPT is still trash. But Abe's pulling up something funny. What do you got there, dude?
Well, I wanted to know if these writers could actually be replaced. So I grabbed us a Chat GPT premium subscription
Oh,
and had the best of the Chat GPT writing capabilities produce us a script that I think will be is certainly for Mark's channel a fan favorite personally.
okay.
Uh,
Do you before you get into it, do you have the prompt that you gave this?
I don't have it offhand, but I remember most of it, and it was quite
It does
literally
get saved
40
on the
words.
side.
Yeah, we'll look into it later.
It's
All
40
right.
words you put in. That's good to know.
40
Yeah.
word prompt.
I wrote 2 sentences.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Let's hear what you got, dude.
The second sentence was send it.
Get me immersed. Like I want you to get in there. I'm gonna close my eyes.
You want to do it, Abe? You want me to do it? I'm happy to do it.
Why don't you do it so that way I don't have to chuck myself and read
Take
on
me
stream.
there, Markstrom. Take me there.
All right, I'll take you there. All right.
All right.
So the title is Shrek. Escape from Barkov. After a magic mishap involving Donkey experimenting with a forgotten fairy, Godmother's wand, Shrek, Mike Myers, and Donkey, Eddie Murphy, are accidentally transported to the bleak and dismal realm of Barkov. This chilling and foreboding land is ruled by the cold-hearted czar, Chiquita, played by Idris Elba, a towering tyrant with an insatiable love for potatoes and a mysterious, cruel agenda. In this stark and haunting landscape, Shrek and Donkey are captured by the Tsar's guards and taken to his icy palace. Here they are introduced to the dread and dejection that the inhabitants of Barkov lie under, with joy and laughter being considered capital offenses. Seeing the downtrodden citizens and the pervading despair, Shrek and Donkey resolve to break free and bring joy to Barkov. Unexpectedly, they encounter Lord Marquand, played by John Lithgow, a diminutive noble who is cousin of their old enemy, Lord Farquaad. However, in this alternate reality, Marquand is not the villain his cousin was. Instead, he's a banished underdog, shunned for his small stature and progressive ideas of joy and laughter. Despite their initial hesitation, Shrek and Donkey form an unlikely alliance with Marquand. With his intimate knowledge of the palace and the realm, Marquand proves to be an invaluable ally. The trio embarks on a wild, uproarious adventure filled with riddles, traps, giant potatoes, and lots of typical Shrek-style humor as they plan their daring escape and rebellion against the tyrant czar. Meanwhile, in Far, Far Away, Fiona, played by Cameron Diaz, and Puss in Boots, Antonio Banderas, find out about the mishap and embark on their own journey to rescue Shrek and Donkey. They go through the old fairy tale books, meet mystical creatures, and unravel forgotten magic spells to find the way to Barkov. In the climax, the two plot lines collide in a grand spectacle. An epic showdown ensues in the heart of the Barkov Palace between Tsar Chiquita's forces and our band of heroes, filled with the magical combat, clever trickery, and Shrek's unique blend of raw strength and pure heart. In the end, the power of friendship, laughter, and love conquer the gloom of Barkov. With Tsar Chiquita dethroned and the land freed from his oppressive rule, Barkov citizens start to experience joy and happiness once more. Marquand, having proven his leadership and heart, becomes the new ruler, promising a future of laughter and fairness. As Shrek and the company return to Far, Far Away, they are not only relieved to be back home, but also satisfied, knowing that they've left Barkov in good hands. Shrek, Escape from Barkov explores themes of friendship, acceptance, and the power of joy and laughter, all wrapped up in the signature comedic style of the Shrek franchise.
Okay. So, multiple things, if you're still listening after that riveting story.
Riveting.
I'm guessing that last, I'll show it one more time, at the very bottom where it says Shrek, Escape from... That was probably almost word for word your prompt, if I'm correct.
So, the best of my recollection, I'm going to try and bring it up, but I essentially said, can you please write me a Shrek sequel involving Shrek being trapped in the dismal realm of Barkov, which is ruled by the tyrannical czar Chiquita.
Okay.
In this adventure, they get an I believe I said unknown ally in Lord Marquand, Lord Farquaad's cousin. That was it.
So no Idris Elba?
No, that was, I mean, it's a great
Idris,
casting.
Huh?
It's a great casting.
Great casting. All right, so this was a plot. This wasn't a script, right?
Right.
So it did all right with it. What I really liked is that it knows it can separate two stories and have them come together. That's pretty cool. So I like that. I think it would struggle with like dialogue, like meaningful dialogue.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So good.
I think like at the end of the day, it's definitely pulling on things that are uploaded from like to the internet that are also simultaneously written by humans, but still it can't provide something. Like if you gave me this and something else, like I can pick between the two and tell what was written by AI.
Yeah.
That's a fun experiment as well.
Yeah.
But it leaves very like signature marks, right? Like I don't know. I think robot fingerprints are all over this one. But
well,
yeah, I don't know. I think like it's gonna like this is not the tip top best of the best. I don't think as far as what AI has to offer.
Mm-hmm.
But as far as like what is available in a day-to-day consumer sense, then yeah, I mean, like you could get a skeleton structure of something, but how good it ends up being is definitely going to be left up to the people involved.
I think it's a tool, and we've talked
Yeah.
about this before. It's
Yeah,
a
absolutely.
tool, and you got to use if you're gonna use it, it could be a very big help, but
Yeah.
it still depends on who's typing it and who's using it and how you're using it. But so those are just the screenwriters. What about other roles like administrative roles, coding, customer service, and legal roles? How about those jobs?
Yeah, I'm not leaving my legal battles up to a robot, I'll be honest with you. I hear that that leaves some less than desired consequences. Uh, yeah, I think Abe has a little example of that there.
I
So
do. Essentially, a lawyer had used ChatGPT as his own paralegal, and it actually cited a bunch of cases that didn't exist.
wait,
And he
wait, wait,
got in a
wait.
lot of
I was
trouble
just
for
about
that.
to say that probably worked out great. So it didn't work out great.
Didn't work out great. No.
All right.
Yeah, I mean, like that's the thing. People are very quick to try and replace uh, a part, something that's going to cost them money with AI, right? I mean, like that's a part of his like firm, right? That he would definitely be responsible for paying a salary to as a paralegal, right?
Oh, for
So
well, they could. Yeah, they. Yep.
they definitely, yeah.
Well, so all right.
And
Well, let me, Abe. I'd be interested. You can look into this if you want. I'd be interested. Did he use Chat GPT or did he train it with a certain index that's updated by verified sources that he?
you're giving this guy way too much credit.
Well, all right. Well, if
Who
he
did
didn't, he's an
the
idiot. But
research?
if he was a lawyer and he had his own learning system, language learning system that pulled from this database, and this database, and it also updates every time the court makes an adjustment, a precedent is set, or a ruling is overturned. I don't understand how you could go wrong with that because paralegals are finding precedent, they're doing strategy, they're pulling cases like.
Yeah, I think that's where AI definitely excels, right? It's just like the sheer volume, right, that it can work through is always going to outweigh someone's ability to comb through if it has the ability to do it semi-intelligently, right?
Yes.
And be able
Yeah,
to
this guy
draw the
just used
connections that are
ChatGPT, though.
necessary.
He just used ChatGPT.
This guy just
Yeah.
ChatGPT.
Oh, there you
He
go.
just
There's no
ChatGPT -ed it
guardrails.
up.
He didn't even pay the premium that Abe paid to make the Shrek script, man. Like this guy was going as cheap as possible.
Oh man.
Yeah,
Oh gosh. All right.
that's
So
my
it's
interpretation.
it's not good for paralegals yet, unless you take my method. Someone do that and let me know how it goes. But I didn't actually. If someone does it, let me know how
Sure.
it goes. I'm not a law expert,
And
nor
kicks
am I
on
a
the
finance expert.
person.
However, speaking of AI,
Yeah.
I did set up an account, a little account with about $1,000 in it, and I gave it access. It's a separate account. It doesn't have access to all my other money, which isn't crazy amount. Don't get it twisted. I got $1,000, and there's a AI system that looks at a certain hedge fund, and it tracks whatever trade that that hedge fund makes, whether they buy, whether they sell. And what it does is it looks at my account, says in proportion to their account and the trades that they're making, we're going to make the same trades in relation to your size of account.
Nice.
So there's a robot doing it. When they trade, I trade. And it is up 16.6% in this past 2 months since I've
That's
opened it.
nice.
16.6%. So currently,
That's twice like the year average.
well, I mean, S&P, if you're lucky, you're getting 10%. If you're nice, like if you're really nice, if you're like Michael Burry or someone crazy, maybe you'll get a 50%. What do you got? He's got the S&P right now. What's the yearly? So year to date, S&P is up 18%. Okay.
In all
pretty good.
fairness, the last 2 months have been a good 2 months.
Yes.
So
All right.
yeah, I
We're
think
tracking
you
back 1
started
month,
this at a
though, it's
good time.
1.3, so,
1.3.
mean, yeah, it's not too shabby.
So we'll see. We'll see how it goes. I'm not giving it all
I'm
my
pulling
money
for
yet.
you.
Me too. Me too. But it doesn't have, I'm not asking it to do anything but a specific
Right.
set of tasks. Look at this
Well, at the end of the
headphone.
day, it's copying someone who's not a robot,
Correct.
who's using their expertise.
Correct. Correct.
So I think that as, and again, this is using a tool effectively, right?
Yes.
Within the parameters of what will be effective for it. So,
Well,
but it's nice. I mean, and it's something that you can just set and forget for now.
yeah, we'll see. If who knows, it might go rogue, dude.
You think it's gonna go rogue? You think?
That's why I'm not giving it a lot of money yet. I don't know, dude. But what I'm curious of is how much time do I need before I'm like, all right, let's go, dude, and like throw in a little bit more. How much data do I need to collect? Because it could all go well until it shits the bed one day.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I'm still thinking like how much
Depends how proficient the pathing you have of following is. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, what happens if
it has like I think if it has a year plus or 6 months plus of following it to a T without slipping up?
Yeah.
So you throw a little trust in there.
A little trust.
Just a little trust. What
The
could
whole
happen?
Roth?
Nah, I don't think that's
not the whole Roth.
idea. Probably not the whole Roth.
The whole
no.
401k? 6 months? No, not that.
There's no shot your 401k is big enough to not sling around like that. How's that 401k looking?
What's a 401k?
Exactly.
Anyway, let's bring the AI back to the video games, the video game world. Enough of these finances and 402ks.
Yeah, it's not great in the video game world either. Let me be the first to tell you. Man.
Really?
I played an AI game this week.
I have some other thoughts about that, but why do you say that?
It is good for some things. When it's used as a tool, I think it can be awesome. Perfect example of this is you're familiar with World of Warcraft.
Yes.
You're familiar with the idea that there have been multiple expansions for WoW. And the first iteration, the original, has gained a lot of popularity with a new game mode called Hardcore. And the idea is that if your character dies, you have to delete your character and start again. It's very difficult.
Okay.
The idea is to progress to 60 and do end game and raiding. And if your raid wipes, well, you're about to have to level a new character to 60. Good luck.
God.
And leveling to 60 takes some time. For the inexperienced, many months. And so it's no joke.
For the uninitiated.
Yeah. So the thing with like the original version of WoW is that it didn't have a lot of the quality of life features. And the way that you implemented those is to download something called add-ons. And so these add-ons can add and change things on your screens to give you more information so that you can make more informed decisions. It can just change the UI UX in a way that is more, something that you prefer. A lot of it is preference based. But one way that the new add-ons have really revolutionized the game for me in a way that really feels infinitely more immersive is they've added AI voice to all of the questing. And I'll tell you what, I've never been so intrigued by the lore and the stories in WoW in my entire life. I used to think that these quest logs were written horribly. I used to think that like there's no way anyone's sitting through and reading all this quest log information. You scan it to try and figure out where you have to go, what you have to do, where's the thing I got to kill, where's the thing I got to retrieve, who do I bring it back to, where do I turn it in? Though, like you're just scanning for those little bits of information. But when they are voiced, not only is the AI do an incredible job, and you would think that this was done by like legitimate voice actors, but you get to appreciate the time and the effort that went into this awesome, unraveling story in front of you, wow you level. And I just had zero appreciation for the people who wrote these quest logs to begin with. And because of AI, I feel like I'm playing a whole new game. Like I actually care. I can actually follow along the story. And it's actually like I'm putting pieces together from multiple quests, like within a chain. Like Oh, so that's how that played out. That makes a lot of sense.
Well,
That's why that dead body was over there.
what's so exactly what is the role of the AI? Just the voice generation?
It's just voice generation.
Okay. So now go
That's
ahead.
using it as a tool.
Yes.
Written by people, this which I'd never appreciated before. And now because of this tool, I actually I get to listen to it while I walk away and I already start doing the thing too, which really helps. So I feel like I can still enjoy like the min-maxing of time and pace for people who want to level quickly. Like I can enjoy that while still being immersed in the story, which I could never do before because you just have to stand there and read the thing. And as soon as you move away, it's gone. You can pull it back up, but you have to like read on the move and you can't. It's hard to multitask, you know?
Okay.
So
So
that's it being used as a tool.
yes.
And the last week, it got used in a function that is the entire game, and that is vaudeville. And this is a murder mystery game that I played. And the way that it worked is it explains that there were murders
Okay.
and it drops you off at this map. And you have like maybe 8 waypoints, and you click into them, and there will be 1 or 2 people standing there. And you speak to them using your mic, and you can formulate any questions you want. You're the detective.
Okay.
And so you have to figure out what are the right questions to ask these people to feed me the right information so that I can solve this murder mystery and unlock the end of the game.
Okay.
Hardest thing I've ever done in my entire life, first and foremost. And not for lack of trying and not for lack of not watching enough, Law and Order. You know what I mean? Like I knew what I was doing. I was in there. I
Okay.
was detecting my ass off, right?
Yes.
Asking all the right questions.
So was it difficult because it was so good? It wasn't. You're telling me it wasn't difficult because you're trash. That's definitely not the case.
It was difficult because it was trash.
Oh. Are you sure?
Yes, absolutely.
All right.
I promise. Yeah, don't watch the VOD, but I promise. Don't watch the VOD, but I promise.
Second guessing yourself.
I may have asked it about Joe Dirt a time or two, but that's, I got a little off track because I was just testing things.
Well,
And
when it
in
gets
all
good
fairness,
enough,
it gave me one of the best responses about how it's a it's a cinematic masterpiece of our time.
really,
And that made me really happy. Yeah.
wow.
I mean, no lies detected. You know what I mean?
I mean that's becoming more and more popular. Is the AI just straight up like giving this NPC all AI capabilities? Like, there is a YouTuber who I watch a lot. His name is JS Films. He's I would consider him one of the pioneers of Unreal Engine filmmaking.
Right.
Because he's just constantly testing the new features and everything. And he has a map where he put an NPC in there and gave it AI ChatGPT capabilities, but it's more so like a conversational. It's not like I want to ask you about this and give me the answers. You can speak to it and it speaks back.
Oh, that's exactly what this is, for clarity.
But I mean, well, you're saying that one was trash. I'm looking at this one and I'm like,
It was nice.
it's nice. It's where you think it would be currently in a good way. But what I think is down the road is all these NPCs having this ability. Then you get sucked in and you're just like playing with one NPC that you like a lot. And you're going, what if you start taking one of these NPCs on dates in the game and you just get super sucked in? One NPC is this robot AI and you're just giving your life to this one thing. And then the game developers can take it even further. You can have an app and it's like, call this NPC anytime. When you're not at your computer, don't worry, you can call your NPC. And it's like, dude, it can go so far and in such
And Joaquin Phoenix, man.
Correct.
Great movie. Glad you seen it.
Yes.
For those that are listening, Joaquin Phoenix, absolutely phenomenal film, a must watch in today's age of AI.
Yes.
Must watch.
That one hits. That one hits, dude. Joaquin Phoenix is one of my favorite actors. But
For
anyway, just to sum it up, I know this stuff is very interesting. I just want to proceed cautiously optimistic. I don't want, there's the nice little, look at him. Look at that stud.
It's a nice stash.
I don't want, I just want to throw it out there. Having an intimate relationship in the physical world is wonderful. And if you got one online, that's great, but I don't want people to lose themselves to something like AI. That's all I'm
Robo
gonna say.
significant others already exist in like a lot of Asian countries.
I know.
Yeah.
There was
They're big on
a website where you'd have there was an app where you'd have virtual girlfriends.
Mhm.
And whatever you're thinking out there, what you could do with that girlfriend, yes, you could do with that girlfriend.
Mm.
They rolled out an update
What website was that?
just for science. So I
Just
can
asking
avoid
for a
it.
friend.
Yeah, so I can avoid the website. Dude, what's the website?
Yeah, I'm gonna block it.
So they rolled out an app and they took away certain abilities and
Right.
let your mind run. You can probably figure out which abilities we're talking about. Dude, 60% of the users were like, we're done using this app. It's ruined. It's ruined now. You can't do this. So I know that it's already happening out there. And
Oh, it's an easy fix. You just paywall it.
cautiously
I'm
optimistic.
just saying.
There's
Money to be made, Slum.
I hear you. I hear you. Let's get out of that.
Yeah, I think
freaky subject.
my final takeaway on vaudeville is that it's a very cool experience, and I'll probably revisit it. But it is very frustrating talking to the AI just because they go off on tangents about nothing, and then they will feed you like literally false narratives with regards to the story. Like if you even say one false word, it will set them off on a tangent that like you can't get them back from. And so it makes it very difficult to decipher, okay, what is pertinent information? What isn't? How do I actually advance the game? And I'm not saying it's like the most perfectly made game in the world to begin with, like as far as like the concept is concerned or how it actually works with like navigating the game's map and how you have to like talk to each person. But strictly from the AI side of things, it is not straightforward. Also, it's very clear that it was using like some sort of like free version of ChatGPT on the back end because you would hit a certain period and they just wouldn't respond to you no matter what. And so you basically had to refresh the conversation. And it's like, well, I hit my limit. and then they wouldn't remember what you were saying before.
No.
They had no memory. So like, it was frustrating to say the least. It made very good content. We had a lot of fun with it. But as far as like progressing the game, not announced the progress. It is what it is.
I don't know. I think I might have to watch your VOD because you said
you don't trust my detecting.
You said, well, you literally just said I would say something and it would go off, and then I had trouble deciphering which information is pertinent. Sounds like that's the life of a detective.
No. You don't understand.
Okay, I mean,
I caught most of that stream,
and
I will
was
tell
he
you right now, he was doing a good job. But sometimes, if you insulted one of those things, it would go on a tirade, apology tangent, and restate exactly what you said what was wrong with it in a very nuanced, long apology.
I asked this guy if he ever considered doing legs. He had very thin legs, man.
Did he freak out?
He's like, I like to think that one's legs aren't all that is to a person, like, and he went on this long tangent about how he offers a lot outside of his appearance, especially in the leg department.
And that didn't blow you away? That's exactly how someone with no legs is going to react.
Because they're soft.
Right? You would know, right?
I guess maybe you're right. Maybe.
What? Dude, I got to play this game.
Yeah, it's interesting.
Oh my gosh. All right. So it's in games. There's a question here. Are you scared of AI and its rapid development?
No, I'm excited.
Okay.
It only excites me.
That's it?
If we get taken over by AI, it is what it is, man. We had a good run. I think there are a lot of people who are pushing the envelope, I do think like do practice a decent amount of care for the most part. It's just ultimately like not going to be up to us.
Correct.
Right? Like we're just users.
Yeah.
The scary part is like how it continues to get innovated. And as someone outside of that space, like I just can't control it. So, if I end up in an iRobot situation, then, that's not on me, man. I'll deal with it as it comes. But I'm not gonna sit here and worry about it. But I think that has more to do with me as a person than it does AI as a
I
technology.
I think a lot of people put when they think about this type of situation, they put constraints on the mental exercise. So I'm reading right now, and it says, let's say ChatGPT gets the nuclear codes.
Okay.
Chat the nuclear codes are what we know about. And honestly, I'm not too sure when the nuke was invented. I would say maybe like almost 100
Wait,
years ago.
big dog. Brand new
Okay.
There's a
film out.
No, the
movie on
big
that one
the
right
fat man,
now.
Brand
not
new film out. Oppenheimer.
Oppenheimer.
I,
Yes.
I it you got
All right.
top 10 film of
When
all
was it
time for me.
invented?
Top 10 film of
Okay.
all time for me.
Okay. I'll
Well, it
watch
was
it.
World War II, so the 40s, right?
Yeah, it was like
Okay.
42,
So
43.
80-ish years ago, right?
Yeah.
So they're saying, what if ChatGPT gets the nuke codes and has access to
All right.
technology that we invented 80 years ago? Dude, we have no shot whatsoever if AI wants to go crazy. I don't think they're going to use nukes. I think they could do much more harm. What if they put some type of chemical in the water that 90% of us drink? What happens if they have access to a chemical that kills a certain genetic code of people? Like the nuclear bomb is 80 freaking years old. There's got to be
Yeah, I
so
think
much more
it's
damage.
just widely considered like the quintessential weapon of mass destruction, right? Even though it's definitely not even within its own category these days.
Yeah.
But you're right. Yeah, I mean it would take a lot different of a route if it really wanted to end us.
Yeah. That's
Yeah.
that's what I would say. An efficient one with zero destruction. They got to rebuild the whole freaking America if they drop
And
a
and
fat man on it. Like then the robots can be like, crap, all this rubble. No, let's figure out a way to get rid of these stinky animals that shoot themselves, that blow things up. Find a way to get rid of them without blowing up all these buildings. I think Chat GPT and AI will figure that out. I don't think they'll have to drop a nuke.
yeah, I don't think so either.
But also, I don't think we'll stand a chance. People are like, "Well, dude, iRobot," like you said, the iRobot thing. I
No,
talk
we
to
don't stand
people
a
and they're like,
chance,
"Dude,
dude.
I'll take a robot on." I'm like, first of all, you won't. Second of all, it's probably not going to be like that. You won't have
That
any
robot's
say in
gonna be
how it happens.
downloading martial arts in the Matrix, dog. You ain't got nothing on that robot.
I mean, yeah, think about that. So we got the Neuralink coming out, right?
Yeah, dude,
Everyone's going to line up for that, and
getting
then
strapped in.
someone just goes, "Oh, here's the termination switch." Boom. All right. Well, now we just all go jump in the ocean and the robots win and they have all their buildings
We're cutting
still.
out a little bit.
Uh-oh. Oh, hey, how you doing? How about
Yeah,
now?
get in there. Stay in there.
We in there?
Yeah.
Anyway, we won't have any shot. But yeah, so nuclear codes, I don't think they're going to get the nuclear codes. But is there any thoughts on the craziness and where the AI is going? You said you're not worried about it at all. You're along for the ride. Is there anything you'd like to be seen done when it comes to the rapid development of AI? Any safeguards? Anything?
Nah, I say let it ride.
Let it ride.
I
Okay.
say let it ride.
All right, then I guess we won't touch any of these unions that are trying to be created on this sheet right here. I guess they're trying to set some early laws and regulation, which I think it's worth a shot. Do I think they'll be able to do anything with those?
I mean, the thing is like if you have like countries at ends with each other, right? Which will always be the case, then there's no sense in like, I mean, we're gonna have to go that route and figure out how to weaponize it in the event that someone else does. You know what I mean? It's like it's this same thing until anytime there's a new technology that can genuinely have an impact on someone having a massive leg up in some sort of like, full scale war, then it's going to be a race to that point. And then if it's something that is like, you know, you're going to have your own separate arms race, whatever that means or looks like within the AI world, right? Until there's a mutually assured destruction again on that side of things to where everyone's even again, right? And it's just like there's no preventing that. So I think like acting like we're actually going to regulate it, all that even means if that does happen is that it's just done by the military. You know what I mean? Like
Oh,
they
that's
bring
interesting.
does that make sense?
It does
Like
make
it still
sense.
gets done. You're just regulating like how far can we as civilians push it,
Yes.
right? So
Okay.
does that
All right,
feel
now that you
good?
put it
Does
that
that
way-
feel worth it?
Nope. Government
Not really.
intervention? No thanks.
Yeah.
All right. Okay. Well, if you don't mind, let's jump to this last story.
We got
And it says, our best hope, our own stupidity. Abe, what do we got here on this last story here with our best hope, our own stupidity?
So the once again the general synopsis of that article is essentially that now that ChatGPT 4 is up and running in their premium model, it's been reading the internet a lot and has unfiltered access to all these sources of data. And the engineers behind the project have actually noted that the AI is getting stupider after reading the content that it has access to. So our path to victory might just be ourselves in that we make this thing so dumb it can't beat us anyway.
So
bring it down to our level.
no,
Well,
not
we're
our
experienced.
not our
No.
level.
You're right.
Worse.
That's fair.
Um
I've been
so-
an internet person for a long time, Slum. You give me too much credit. I don't know, dude.
Yeah, but you're not Googling like news and seeing what top sources come up when you
Yeah, I hear
Google
you.
things. So I want to stay away from using the word dumber because all it's doing is regurgitating what it's looking at.
Replicating. Yeah.
Correct. So we go to Google and we search something. You know, all the top 10 are curated by who knows, maybe not intelligent people, maybe people
Or
with an
paid for.
agenda. The stuff
Usually paid for.
correct.
Yeah.
So if it's scraping Google and you ask it something and it's pulling from the top 10 searches it does, you know that if those top 10 searches are not accurate or not valid or verified, that's what you're getting. I'm sure that's what happened with the lawyer that was using the paralegal service that ChatGPT offers. So
Oh,
I think we should look at this and maybe Google gets a heads up and goes, all right, maybe we need to actually start being authentic with the results and let's let the most clicks ride to the top. Let's not let people pay to get to the top. Let's verify things. And maybe that's how ChatGPT will get more accurate, not more intelligent, but more accurate and more stable. But it's
I think you weight sources, right, to an extent. It depends on like what it is, and then right, it's up to at any point, like it is manipulable. Even on the side of like who decides how it gets fed.
yes.
You know what I mean?
Yep.
So yeah, I mean, again, decipher what it is, what it's capable of, and use it as a tool. And
Yes.
outside of that, I think having any sense of like significant dependency is never going to be the wisest course of action.
I agree.
Yeah.
I agree with that 100%. Do use it as a tool. Don't rely on it. And I'm sure you could. Honestly, the way I look at AI, and we touched on this before, but Markstrom, you said it actually. If you are a person that's going to stand out, if you're putting in that work, if you're being creative, this is going to be a wonderful tool for you to stand out. If you're a person that's lazy, you're looking for the easy way around it, this is just going to make it more obvious of the person you are. I think it's an amplifier. I don't think it's going to.
That's a really good point.
I don't think it's going to change you. I think it's going to amplify the person you are.
Yep. Yep.
So, is there? I mean, we could touch on this last story if you'd like.
We got there.
And this is a quite an interesting thing. I'd like Abe to lay the foundation for this.
Sure thing. Yeah. So, just on that general topic of AI getting out of control, and it doesn't seem like it bothers Mark very much, but, the real general question was, are we getting too far with science in general and some of the things that we're doing? And this was an interesting article where they scientists found a 46,000-year-old worm that was frozen in Siberian permafrost, and they revived it, and it immediately started procreating because it uses, I think it's called parthenogenesis, which is basically it's a single organism that can multiply itself. It doesn't need a mate. And I've seen movies like The Thing. I've seen plenty of horror movies and other things. Like this worm needs to die.
Do we have a picture of the worm?
Abe's over there, like,
yeah, hold
on,
on,
fire.
pull that one up.
All right, so they defrosted this worm that's 46,000 years old.
Yeah, they popped them in the micro.
They defrosted a worm that's 46,000 years old.
Yeah.
Here we go. I mean, that's an X-ray. It looks a little funky. How big is this worm, Abe?
Wait, no,
I'm pretty sure it's quite tiny. It's a microorganism, yeah.
Microorganism.
All right. So what is your worry about this, Abe? What is your worry?
Well, I mean, we don't know what this thing. I mean, we don't know what this is, how it's going to interact with it. We might have also just resurrected a 46,000-year-old disease or something like that, and it's immediately, essentially creating more of itself. And like
life
I said,
finds a way.
Yeah.
I mean, can we not learn from our mistakes in film? Even
Yeah.
They thought out the Thing. He took over the base, killed a lot of people. We made dinosaurs. They overran and took over Jurassic Park. I don't know why we got to mess with a 46,000-year-old worm.
All right. So
yeah, I mean, I think like the concept obviously is if we better understand microorganisms and the way that they have evolved over time and be able to compare between, what we have now versus what we had then it could lead to scientific breakthrough, right? I'm sure that is the concept. However, yeah, I mean, I think I'm with Abe on this one, man. This does scare me from an ecological perspective. Reintroducing things into our ecosystem that are long forgotten. I mean, I tend to think like what doesn't exist now is oftentimes on purpose.
Survival of the fittest, baby.
Yeah, I mean, and beyond that, like, you have no idea like what the impact could be. I mean, there's a lot of talk about like bringing back extinct creatures. You know what I mean? But how they fit into like the whole, ecological landscape of things and what the results of that would be, it could be devastating.
Oh, for
and
sure.
We don't know that. And I think like there's people who, devote entire careers to basically figuring out like the potential impact of these like reintroduction of species, and then also how they are allowed to migrate from place to place on Earth, right? And like, some things have to be like incredibly restricted or have their population cut down immensely before they have, irrevocable damage to a local ecosystem. So
Slum, you're a Northeast guy, so look at even invasive species like the lantern flies that we get now that came over.
Disgusting.
They're everywhere. Everywhere.
I think they came from China. Get rid of them. They're absolutely crazy.
Explain to me what these lantern flies are.
Dude. Well, all right, so here's what they look like. Abe can probably bring it up. So, yep, they look like, for those who are just listening, imagine a gigantic fly, like about the size of a quarter. That's a pretty big fly.
Is it a fly or a moth?
It's like both. And it lands, it's crazy. Like it'll fly at you. It is not worried about you whatsoever. It's not going to sting you or anything like that. But they're everywhere. And what they do is they land on trees and eat the trees, and then the tree dies. So they're not providing anything good. They came from China. So like these weird things, I don't even know what value do they have. But like, hold on, let's do a thought experiment right now, okay? So you were talking about the sciences of like bringing this worm back and how that's scary. There's a bunch of that type of stuff in the field of science. So not going too far into it, but another thing in science, gain of function research, whether it's a sickness or something like that. There's labs that say, how dangerous can we get this virus or something? And they're practicing on it. It's like stuff like that you might not want to do. Maybe this freaking fly was also an experiment. Who freaking knows? But it's like you said, there's a possibility that we might be able to save the world if we study this type of stuff. I don't know where that line is, dude. It's freaking freaky.
I did a bunch of research on basically it's essentially a nerve cancer. But we had to deal with a lot of like cancerous cells, and like we are literally growing in petri dishes these like cancer cells and working with them, and you have to take like very certain precautions and whatnot. And because like you don't like they're all carcinogenic, all of them.
Okay.
And but at the end of the day, like there are certain risks that you're willing to take for the greater good, right? Because there is a percent of the population that deals with this neurofibromatosis that doesn't currently have a proper treatment method. And I think people will always look to science to solve problems, right? And sometimes solving problems creates problems. As we found out, like all the things like antibiotics, the creation of antibiotics led to a lot longer average lifespan for the human being, because now we're not just constantly killed off at a younger age due to some bullshit, right? Like we just take antibiotics, you are able to beat whatever you got going on with you. And as we got older and older lifespans, we understood more and continued to improve health and fitness. Well, now all of a sudden, cancer rates are at an all-time high, and we have essentially introduced that as like the primary barrier to longevity. That is now the case because we never reached these ages to begin with, right? Where these cancer cells take over the body, and so now it's like this is the next thing, right? As we continue to promote longevity.
The lanternfly is the next thing.
No, it's
getting
not
rid of the
next.
lanternfly.
I don't think that's the next thing.
I think it should be.
I think that if it poses a serious ecological threat, that they will be sprayed for.
Disgusting.
I mean, I'm with you, but yeah, I think that people are resilient. Slum. Human beings are a very resilient species. As dumb as we are, a lot of the time, we've made it this far. And I think, like, obviously, in the grand scheme of the time spectrum of the universe, it's not very long. But for us, like, I feel like we're crushing it, dude. I feel like we're crushing it. And there's been a lot of, I think every generation thinks that the current generation is like, this is when times are the most volatile.
Yeah.
And that's obviously not the case. If we continue to, string generations together, we're banging, dude.
So human race, number one race.
You know it, baby.
You could throw AI at us. You could throw the lantern flies at us.
And bring on the aliens.
I'm optimistic. I don't think the aliens will. All right, we'll get into that next episode.
We can do aliens in another episode.
We'll get into that.
All right, let's shut it down before the aliens. But that's nice. Land on a cliffhanger.
Go ahead. What do we got from you? Where can we hear from you after this podcast?
Yeah, I'm live on Twitch, twitch.tv/Markstrom every morning, 06:30 Eastern. I do not stream Wednesday or Saturday, but every other day you'll find me there. Also, check me out on socials at Markstrom TV on everything, including YouTube. What about you, Slum?
My name is Dom Filari. You can find me on Instagram. I make videos. You can find me on YouTube. You can find me wherever you search Dom Filari. And then we have our lovely producer, Abe.
You can find me in Mark's chat at Aberman89.
There it is.
Thank you very much for listening, and we will see you next time.
Have a good one.